Hello, welcome to week 3, chapter 4. In this chapter, we will learn about probability, the study of randomness, and different points of it one by one. The language of probability. Chance behavior is unpredictable in the short run, but has a regular and predictable pattern in the long run. We call a phenomena random if individual outcomes are uncertain, but there is nonetheless a regular distribution of outcomes in a large number of repetitions. The probability of any outcome of a random phenomena is the proportion of times the outcome would occur in a very long series of repetitions. So we can understand it by if we toss a coin or we have to choose a simple random sample, the results can't be predicted in advance because the result will vary when you toss the coin or choose the sample repeatedly. But there is a regular pattern that emerges clearly after many repetitions. For example, here we can see there are tosses. These are almost 20 tosses, and here we can see this is the proportion of heads. So we can see this is going somewhat up and down, and when we are doing the same test and proportion of heads and tossing it 500 times, so we can see after some interval this is going in a regular pattern, but the condition is that coin should be fair. So we can see when we are tossing it many times, it's giving a pattern. That is, chance of heads are 0.5, proportion of heads are 0.5. So thinking about randomness, the result of any single coin toss is random, but the result over many tosses is predictable as long as the trials are independent. That is, the outcome of a new coin flip is not influenced by the result of the previous flip. So if you have a coin and you have to flip the coin, so it can be head or tail. But if you toss it second time, again you can get either head or tail. So first, what you got first time, it is not going to influence your second coin flipping. That is the independence. Here we see the example we earlier seen. This is a proportion of heads, and here it is telling you it's in two series. We tossed it, and after 100, almost 100, you can see here the proportion of heads is almost 0.5. The probability of head is 0.5, equal to the proportion of times you get heads in many repeated trials. So from here we learn uses of probability. The origin of probability were 17th century games of chance. In the 18th and 19th century, careful measurements in astronomy and surveying led to further advances in probability due to distribution that arise from random sampling. Modern applications of probability apply to such diverse fields as traffic flows, genetic makeups of a population, energy states of subatomic particles, spread of epidemics or tweets, return on risky investments. So probability models, description of chance behavior contains two parts, a list of possible outcomes and a probability for each outcome. The sample space, which is represented by capital S of a random phenomena, is the set of all possible outcomes. So for example, if we are having a coin, what would be its sample space? It would be head tails. And how would we represent it? Capital S is equal to curly brackets head comma tails. Similarly, if we have a die, so how we can write the sample space for that die? So S is equal to curly brackets 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Similarly, if you want to write in what month were you born, so what would be the sample space of that? It would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So an event is an outcome or a set of outcomes of a random phenomena. That is, an event is a subset of the sample space. So though there is not a hard and fast rule that we have to represent it by capital E. If there is an event we are representing right now, it is E, that is equal to, if head is coming, we have write event as this. Similarly for die, E is equal to, event is, we got 2. So probability model is a description of some random phenomena that consists of two parts, that is a sample space S and a probability of each outcome. So here is an example. Give a probability model for the chance process of rolling two fair six-sided dice, one that's red and one that's green. So here we can see that sample space, what would be sample space? It would be 36 outcomes. We can calculate it and we can get it that it is 36 outcomes. And since the dice are fair, each outcome is equally likely. So each outcome has probability 1 over 36. Now probability rules are, any probability is a number between 0 and 1. So if you are getting something 1.2 or in minus, it is, you are getting something wrong. It is not a probability. It should be in between 0 and 1. All possible outcomes together must have probability 1. If two events have no outcome in common, the probability that one or the other occurs is the sum of their individual probabilities. And the probability that an event does not occur is 1 minus the probability that the event does occur. So we will understand by examples. So as we set the probability P of any event A satisfies between from 0 to 1. So it's saying if S is the sample space in a probability model, then PS is equal to 1. Now it's saying if A and B are disjoint, so what would be the probability? Then it would be PA plus PB. Whatever be the probability of PA and PB, we will add it. And these are if A and B are disjoint, only then. And this is the addition rule for disjoint events. Rule 4 is the complement of any event A is the event that A does not occur, written as A with C. And in your 5-10 class, you might have seen A bar, but you can write either way. So here we are using AC. So PAC is equal to 1 minus PA. We will understand it in more details in another example. So our preferences for vehicle colors can be related to our personality, our models or particular objects. And here's a probability model for color preference. We got this model. And now the questions are, show that this is a legit-made probability model. So how could we show that? That if we sum all these probability, it should be equal to 1. Find the probability that a person's favorite vehicle color is black or silver. So it would be P black or silver is equal to probability of black plus probability of silver. Then we will add it 0.19, that is this one, and 0.16. It would be 0.35. Find the probability that the favorite color is not blue, because our probability of blue is 0.07. So for not blue, it would be 1 minus 0.07, that is 0.93. Venn diagrams. Sometimes it is helpful to draw a picture to display relations among several events. A picture that shows the sample space S as a rectangular area and event as areas within S is called a Venn diagram. Here we can see there are two disjoint events, event A and event B. Whereas here we can see two events that are not just disjoint, and the event A and B consisting of the outcomes they have in common, that is represented by A and B. Assigning probability, finite probability models. So one way to assign probabilities to event is to assign a probability to every individual outcome, then add these probabilities to find probability of any event. This idea works well when there are only finite, that is fixed in limited number of outcomes. A probability model with a finite sample space is called finite. To assign probabilities in a finite model, list the probabilities of all the individual outcomes. These probabilities must be numbers between 0 and 1, and that adds up to exactly 1. The probability of any event is the sum of probabilities of the outcome making up the event. So assigning a probability equally likely probabilities, in some circumstances we are willing to assume that individual outcomes are equally likely because of some balance in the phenomena, such as in dice or coins. So when there are equally likely outcomes, if a random phenomena has k outcomes, all equally likely, then each individual outcome has probability 1 by k. Like in the dice we have seen, if S is the sample space having options 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and if we want to find what is the probability of getting 2 in the die, then it would be 1 by 6, and it is similar to all the numbers. Here it is saying the same thing. The probability of A is equal to count of outcomes in A divided by count of outcomes in S. S is the sample space. That is equal to count of outcomes in A divided by K. Independence and the multiplication rule. If two events A and B do not influence each other, and if knowledge about one does not change the probability of the other, the events are said to be independent of each other. This is the rule 5, that is the multiplication rule for independent events. So two events A and B are independent if knowing that one does not change the probability that the other occurs. If A and B are independent, then its probability A and B is equal to probability A multiplied by probability B. Earlier it was disjoint and it was P, A or B, and we are adding those probabilities. So here we can see this would be the formula, and this is the rule 5. So now we will understand about the independent events. Independent events A and B, knowing that event B has occurred does not change the probability that event A will occur. So we will see some examples. First child is a boy, event A. Event B, second child is a boy. So these both things are independent because it can happen or it cannot happen. It doesn't depend on the first child, what would be the second child. Second example is getting D on first exam. Event B is getting A on second exam. These are dependent because if someone got D on their first exam, so they worked very hard and got A on second exam. So these things are dependent. Now the example is of wearing a seat belt. Event A, event B, getting killed in an accident. These both things are also dependent. Now last example is event A, randomly selected woman has at least one child, and event B, randomly selected man has at least one child. This is also independent. So now here is an example. It is saying that 70% of students at a large university have visa cards. Event A is first randomly selected student has a visa card. Event B is second randomly student has a visa card. So these both are independent. That is randomly selected individuals from large population. So what is the probability that both students have a visa card? So we already know rule 5. So P probability of A and B would be PA multiplied by PB. So what is the percentage? It is 70%. So we have to make it into 0 to 1. So it would be 0.7. So 0.7 into 0.7 is equal to 0.49. So now an example is at a large university, 15% of students are business majors and 20% are communication majors. If two students are selected at random, what is the probability? The first is a communication major and second is a business major. So it is similar to the first example. And what would be the probability? Because both are independent, because they are randomly selected, and 15% would change to 0.15, whereas 20% would change to 0.2, we have to use rule 5 and we will multiply both probabilities. It would be 0.03. So here is an example and we will apply all the rules we learned earlier. It is saying that many people who come to clinics to be tested for HIV do not come back to learn the test results. Clinic now use rapid HIV test that give a result in a few minutes. For the rapid HIV test, the FDA has established 2% as the maximum false positive rate allowed. So if a clinic uses a test that meets the FDA standard and tests 50 people who are HIV free, what is the probability that at least one false positive will occur? So here few things we need to concentrate. First, false positive rate. You will learn about false positive, false negative in chapter 5 or 6. So we will learn there about these things. But to just understand what is false positive rate, it is probability that false alarm will be raised. So it is like that a positive result will be given when true value is negative. And second point, we have to keep in mind that 50 people who are HIV free. We are not taking all the any patient. We already know that they are HIV free. Secondly, we can see here what is the probability that at least one false positive will occur. So we will assume that these 50 people who are HIV free are independent, because it is not given if they are independent or not, but we will calculate it by assuming they are independent. So it is saying that it is reasonable to assume that the results for different people are independent. The probability that test is positive for a single individual is 0.02. So because it was 2%, so false positive rate, so what would it be? 0.02. So the probability of negative result is 1 minus 0.02 by complementary rule. Now we have for the negative result the probability is 0.98. Now the probability of 50 such negative results, because we are assuming that these are, first we know that they are HIV free, means they are negative, and secondly we are assuming they are independent. So what we will do, we will multiply these values. So each has 0.98 probability, so we have to multiply 50 times. So we are taking power 50 and the value would be 0.3642 by the multiplication rule for independent events. Now we got the probability for 50 such negative results, and now probability for at least one false positive among the 50 people tested. So here we again use complement rule and we will minus 1 minus 0.3642 and answer will be 0.6358. Now we will learn about the random variables. So random variables, a probability model describes the possible outcomes of a chance process and the likelihood that those outcomes will occur. A numerical variable that describes the outcomes of a chance process is called a random variable. The probability model for a random variable is its probability distribution. So a random variable takes numerical values that describe the outcomes of some chance process, whereas the probability distribution of a random variable gives its possible values and their probabilities. So here we are going to do an example that is saying consider tossing a fair coin 3 times and define x is equal to the number of heads obtained. So there are 4 chances. If we are going to toss it 3 times, either there will be 0 head or 1 head or 2 head or 3 head, and these are the conditions we are seeing. So if we get the probability from here, So how many total sample space is, our total sample space is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And for 0, it's 1 by 8. Then for 1, it's 3 by 8. For 2, it's 3 by 8. And at last, it is again 1 by 8. Here we can see. And now when we make its distribution plot, here we can see this is known as a similar probability we are plotting, and this is probability distribution. So discrete random variable, there are two main types of random variables, discrete and continuous. And before going to random variables, we should understand what is discrete and continuous. Discrete is available whose value is obtained by counting, like number of students. Number of students could be like 5, 6. It cannot be like 5.5, 5.3. Number of red marbles in a jar. Whereas continuous is variable whose value is obtained by measuring. Example, height, weight, time, distance traveled. So now we will understand what is here. So it is saying there are two main types of random variables, discrete and continuous. If we can find a way to list all possible outcomes for a random variable and assign probabilities to each one, we have a discrete random variable. A discrete random variable X has a fixed set of possible values with gaps between. The probability distribution of a discrete random variable X lists the value Xi and their probability Pi. So it something looks like this. The value you will get X1, X2, X3 such that, and probability you will also get the probability from P1, P2, P3 like that. And the probabilities Pi must satisfy two requirements. The every probability Pi is a number between 0 and 1. The sum of the probability is 1. To find the probability of any event, add the probabilities of the particular values that make up the event. So we will understand all this concept by an example. So here's an example for the discrete probability model, and X is equal to number of customers who complain out of 10 customers. And here we can see X has 0 to 10, whereas probability are given here. And for the discrete random variable, we saw that all the probabilities, there are two rules. It's saying every probability should be between 0 and 1. We can see here all probabilities are in between 0 and 1. Moreover, the sum of all the probabilities is 1. So we will, if we are going to add it, it is 1. Now the question is, what is the probability that 7 or more customers complain? Here it is saying 7 or more. So what we will do, because we know here that this is the probability of 7 and more. So we can get from here 7.009 plus 0.002 plus 0.001 plus 0, that is 0.012. Now it's asking what is the probability that more than 7 customers complain. Now it is not asking about the 7, it is asking about the more than 7. So we will only add 0.002, 0.001 and 0.0, that would be 0.003. Now it is actually one has to remember this thing, because a discrete probability model and continuous probability model would be differ from this point, because here we can see Px is greater than or equal to 7 and x greater than 7, both are two different things. They are not same things. In discrete probability model, we have to remember this because they are discrete numbers we can see here. And what is the probability that at least one customer complains? Here, because it's saying at least one. So when it's asking about at least one, so we have to add from here to here. Instead of doing that, we can also take the complementary, because 0 is 0.028. So we will subtract 1 minus 0.028. It would be 0.972. So this is an example of discrete probability model. So there is one more example, and it's saying that a liberal arts college posts the grade distribution for its courses. In a recent semester, students In one section of English, 130 received 32% A's, 42% B's, 19% C's, 3% D's, and 4% F's. So here we made this distribution of discrete random variable called grade point, where A is equal to 4 and B is equal to 3. So we are starting from here. This is A and this is F. So A is what was it is 32%. The probability would be 0.32. B is 42%, so our probability is 0.42. Similarly, we get all these probabilities. Now the question is, what is the probability that a randomly selected student got a B or better? So what we can do, because it's saying B or better, B or A. So we will add these probabilities and we'll get the probability of this question. It would be 0.74. So now continuous random variable, it's saying in discrete random variable commonly arises from situation that involve counting something. Situation that involve measuring something often result in a continuous random variable. So a continuous random variable y takes on all values in an interval of numbers. What does this mean? It means when we were taking discrete, it was 1, 2, 3, 4, but we are not considering in between the numbers like 1.01, 1.02, 1.03, but they are not finite numbers, they are infinite numbers, because we can also take 1.00001. So that's the thing. So we will understand it in much detail. So it's saying the takes on all values in an interval of numbers. The probability distribution of y is described by a density curve. So because of this, we cannot write like what we were writing in discrete distribution. Now we are using density curve for that. The probability distribution of y is described by a density curve. The probability of any event is the area under the density curve and above the value of y that make up the event. So the probability model of a discrete random variable x assigns a probability between 0 and 1 to each possible value of x. A continuous random variable y has infinite many possible values. As I explained earlier, all continuous probability models assign probability 0 to every individual outcome. Only intervals of values have positive probability. What does this mean? It means if you are going to know what, like earlier we are trying to get what is the probability of getting 7. So we already can see from the distribution and can tell the probability of getting 7 is this. But here in the continuous random variable, because this is continuous, so if there is a question that what is the probability in continuous random variable, there is anything like 7, so you will say that it is 0, because it will assign the probability of 0 to every individual outcome. And how it will work, we will understand it by different examples. So instead of that, what it takes interval of values, have positive probability. Positive probability, because probability is always in positive. So intervals of values, it means it will say greater than 70 or 7 or anything, or less than, but if there is a 1 point, then it would be 0. So continuous probability model, suppose we want to choose a number at random between 0 and 1. Allowing any number between 0 and 1 as the outcome, we cannot assign probabilities at each individual value because there is an infinite interval of possible values. A continuous probability model assigns probabilities as areas under a density curve. The area under the curve and above any range of values is the probability of an outcome in that range. Here is an example. Find the probability of getting a random number that is less than or equal to 0.5 or greater than 0.8. So we learned about the uniform distribution in chapter 1, week 1, and here we can see here's the uniform distribution. and it's telling you the area is 0.5 and 0.8 to 1 it is 0.2. It's here 0.2. So to get the probability we will get 0.7. Here we are using the rule of probability as it is OR. So we added the both probabilities and we got 0.7. So now normal probability models. We already learned about normal models in chapter 1. So the density curve used to assign probabilities to intervals of outcome is the normal curve. Normal distribution are probability models. The probabilities can be assigned to intervals of outcomes using the standard normal probabilities in table A. We standardize normal data by calculating z-score so that any normal curve, that is normality with given mean and standard deviation, can be transformed into the standard normal curve, that is n, and the mean is 0 whereas the standard deviation is 1. Here we can see the z's formula is x minus mu divided by sigma. And we already have explored this 68% when, because from 0 to 1 to minus 1, when one standard deviation difference is there, 68% of data is there. In 95% data is there from the minus 2 to 2. And when we consider minus 3 to 3, it would be 99.7% of data. So often the density curve used to assign probabilities to intervals of outcomes is the normal curve. Now here's an example. It's saying women's height are normally distributed with mean 64.5 and standard deviation 2.5 inches. If we pick one woman at random, what is the probability that her height will be between 68 and 70 inches? So because the woman is selected at random, x is a random variable. So to get the probability, first we got z-score. And for 68 it is 1.4 and for 70 it is 2.2. Here it's showing the probability is, here you can see it's showing 0.0669. So now we will understand how we got this value, and try to remember this value, or you can go backwards and see this value again. Here's a z-score table. I provided this in week 1, and here now we can see the value of 1.4 is 0.9192, and for 2.2 it is 0.9861. How we will use it? We can see. So here we can see 1.4 z value. This is the area less than 1.4, and for 2.2, blue and green both less than 2.2, both area. So to get the in-between area, we will subtract both probabilities of 2.2 and 1.4 and we will get 0.0669. So now there is one more example, and it's saying retailer sells 3-pound bundle of pre-bagged bananas. The bundles vary between 6 and 10 bananas. Their weight are approximately normally distributed with an average weight of 3.2 pounds and standard deviation of 0.1 pounds per bundle. What is the probability that a bundle weighs less than 3 pounds? So here we have to understand that this plot we got, how we got that? Because we got mean. We know that our mean is 3.2 and we know that our standard deviation is 0.1. So what we do? First we add 0.1, we got 3.3, then again and then again. So we got this value, and from here we will subtract it. So we will get these values. And now it is saying that approximately normally distributed. So we made this graph. Now it is asking about what is the probability that a bundle weighs less than 3 pounds. So it's asking what from here, less than 3 pounds. So we got this z-score value, that is 3 minus 3.2 divided by 0.1, and we got the value minus 2.00, and we got the probability from it, and the probability we got is 0.0228. You can also try it with the z-score table and with the online calculator to learn and understand about it.